Hello, I'm Blackbright, broadcasting out the UK. Welcome to my channel. I just wanted to do a video on this repeat or almost repeat situation with George Floyd, which happened in the UK by Islington police on a young black man. Well, he wasn't very young, he was 45 years old, where they decided they would use neck restraint on him. So I decided to cover it and to kind of explain in what situation neck restraint is used, whether or not the fact that the officer has been suspended and not dismissed could have something to do with them trying to justify his actions. But as you will see by the end of this video, there is no action. There is no possible justification for their actions. So because I am going out, I'm going to try to keep this video short and sweet, but you know me, I blab on, and sometimes it goes longer than I anticipate. Anyway, first time you're passing through, please subscribe, like, share, comment, interact with subscribers. Okay. I believe that the police officers who act in that way, i.e. to use neck restraint on a man who is on the ground, who is handcuffed behind his back, they do it because they can. They have the power, so they do it because they can. I really do believe. I've said in previous videos that whatever happens in America, you can guarantee shortly it will happen in the UK. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The UK mirrors America's example. So, what did happen after that happened in America? What happened after the death of George Floyd? There was riots and police and goodness knows what. This is what I believe the UK are trying to emulate. They want people to protest. They want people to riot. Please do not rise to the bait. Do not rise to the bait. They have army on standby. They have, superfluous police on standby, just waiting for something to do. So, let's try, with that background, I'm just going to go into my notes. Okay, apparently, neck restraints are taught on the officer's safety training program, and it is only on rare occasions that police officers are not trained to use neck restraint. However, the police are cautioned the use of such methods, i.e. the neck restraint, to restrain offenders who are attacking or violently resisting officers is discouraged because there are significant inherent dangers in the use of any neck restraint. There is a risk of serious injury or fatality to the subject. So while they're taught neck restraint, it is only used in specific incidences, i.e., for example, if a suspect swallows something and they want to try and retrieve it. After the death of George Floyd and the media coverage, you would have thought that police would do their best to carry out arrests and restraints in a professional manner and in the way they have been trained. But oh no, you have rogue police who believe they are above the law and want to carry out the law their way because they can. So North London police officer uses his knee on the neck to control the suspect. UK emulates the US, which is what I've said before, so I'm not going to repeat that bit. It's disturbing because today I was sent a video. I don't know how many of you, especially those in America, have really focused in on the $20 bill. If you zoom in on the $20 bill, you will see a black man hanging from the column. Very discreetly portrayed on the $20 bill. And to me, I was saying that it shows you how, if you give a man enough rope, he will hang himself, number one. And the greed and the money is a strive for power, which is the main reason why black men are exploited and killed. It's ironic that it's on the $20 bill. It's ironic that George Floyd was murdered for a $20 bill. It's ironic that the man is hanging from the pulpit on a $20 bill. So what had the suspect done to justify this unreasonable force? Apparently the 45-year-old black man was carrying a knife. Does this warrant him being restrained by the neck while handcuffed on the floor? If, you know, from the training, they have to be wildly attacking. And even then, it's not justified to use neck restraint. So the evidence to justify unreasonable force. Body-worn footage has not been made publicly available. I wonder why. Maybe the reason for the arrest was not recorded. Maybe the officer did not follow a stop and search protocol. Maybe the suspect did not have a knife as alleged. Now remember, when they're doing the stop and search, they're supposed to approach the suspect and tell them what they are hoping to find in the stop and search. This is all supposed to be on the body camera. So they're supposed to tell them what they're looking for. Then they proceed to give their identification. Then they proceed to tell them what station they are in. And they do all of this prior to searching the individual. So maybe the body-worn camera wasn't on because they didn't follow that protocol. Police are saying that videos filmed by the public do not show the full context of the situation. And this is why body-worn cameras have to be worn and turned on when the police are approaching a suspect. It's not only to protect the suspect, it's to protect the police as well. So had those videos all gone out where they're showing the police on the suspect's neck, and they'd had their body-worn camera to show they was approaching the gentleman, they were telling them what he was looking for, they were identifying themselves, and all of those kind of stuff, then they wouldn't have anything to worry about, because the person who filmed it, the public who filmed the event, and the police officer's body-worn camera would show that they approached the gentleman in a certain way, he reacted in a certain way, which is why they used that neck restraint. But even then, the neck restraint should only be used if the police believe he swallowed something. Now, what the police are saying is that he had a knife on him. So there's no justification for neck restraint. If police officers want to place situations in context, they need to record from the moment they intend to approach a suspect and anticipate an arrest. Some police officers wait until the situation is aggravated before they switch on the camera to justify excessive or unreasonable force on examination or review. So why might the police emulate USA in this way, like I said, to incite a riot? And I'm telling you guys, don't rise to the bait. Just too predictable. Their behaviour is becoming predictable. Consequences for the police officer: he has been suspended. Probably the reason he hasn't been dismissed because they're looking for reasons to justify his behaviour. I can't see any. And I'm going to actually read out. Oh, I'm going to have to go upstairs and get it. Let me run upstairs and get it. Okay. So the consequences. Probably looking for justification for use of force in this way. The IOPC are conducting an independent investigation. The IOPC is the Independent Office for Police Conduct. And they are saying that there are ex-police officers who are on the board or on the panel. And I'm going to give you the numbers in a moment. Referred, and it's also being referred to the watchdog. The police watchdog If you're unhappy with the police, complain to the police watchdog. They're supposed to build trust with young people and ethnic minorities. The Independent Office for Police Conduct handles the most serious complaints against the police in England and Wales. They investigate the most serious matters, including deaths, following police contact, and set the standards by which the police should handle complaints. They use learning from their work to influence changes in policing. Like I said, they're meant to be independent, and they're meant to make decisions entirely independently of the police and government. But there are ex-police officers on the board who will have the police's reputation in their minds. So when is a throat hold or a choke hold acceptable? Officers are trained to use it when they suspect a suspect has swallowed something. The police can claim exemption from disclosure under Section 17 of the Freedom of Information Act as justification for not showing body-worn footage, but it could be used against them. So I'm going to read quickly the training for neck restraints. This is taken from, oh, I didn't put the title, but I'm going to put the link in the thing. So, with only rare exceptions, neck restraints are not taught within the Officer Safety Training Program. Officers need to understand the lethal potential of neck restraints. Any form of pressure to the neck can be highly dangerous, and this is on the Met Police's training program. So they're quite aware of what they're doing when they're doing it. All officers should be fully aware the following facts, which are based on medical advice. Understanding the neck and throat area. Although the neck column provides mobility for the head, it is not in itself mobile, and within it are structures that are vulnerable. When a person breathes, the air passes in through the nose, mouth, and continues back into the throat, where it enters the windpipe, i.e. the trachea. The windpipe is a tube that is approximately 4.5 inches in length. It is located in the front of the neck and it leads directly into the chest. In the chest, it divides into two branches, one leading into each lung. Pressure on the front of the neck restrains the subject's ability to breathe. It can lead to damage to either the trachea, small delicate bones of thyroid cartilage, which can readily be damaged, resulting in a blockage of the airway, and death can follow very quickly. And that is what happened to George Floyd. The voice box, i.e. the larynx, is located high up in the front of the neck and leads to the windpipe from the back of the throat. It contains the vocal cords and allows the individual to speak. The Adam's apple, i.e. the thyroid cartilage, forms the front wall of the voice box. The writing's very small, so I'm struggling here. The windpipe and the voice box are critically vulnerable to any forceful inward pressure. If steady and heavy pressure is applied, then breathing is cut off. If heavy, sudden force is applied, the windpipe can be crushed and the voice box ruptured. This disruption can quickly lead to a blockage of the windpipe, and death can occur very shortly afterwards. The application of pressure to the front of the neck can also be extremely painful and can restrict breathing so that it generally causes the subject to struggle harder rather than to become passive and controlled. The greater the struggle, the greater the risk of further damage to the throat area. The carotid arteries run down each side of the neck slightly behind the ears. With direct pressure on this area, the neck of the neck, it allows down blood flow to the brain, reducing the amount of oxygen reaching the brain. It also restricts blood flowing away from the brain that can lead to a buildup of carbon dioxide within the brain. Unconsciousness may follow. The stimulation of the carotid sinus and the vagus nerve found alongside the carotid arteries may slow down the subject's heart rate. This slowing of the heart rate may lead to cardiac complications and heart failure. So that was a bit difficult for me to read. The writing is so small, but I didn't want to type it all up, and I didn't want to, so I couldn't enlarge it, so it was large enough for me to read. And finally, the ratio of the police on the Independent Police Conduct Board. Investigators, there are a total of 308 staff, 55 of them are ex-police officers, which is 18%, and 32 are ex-police civilians. I'm not quite sure what that means, which is 10%. So there is a total of 96 investigators who are ex-police or related to ex-police, totaling 31%. Operation team leaders, deputy senior investigators, there are 37% in total who are ex-police related. When I say ex-police related, they're either ex-police officers or ex-police civilians or both. Operation managers and senior investigators, 40%, which is the total. There were 25 staff in that role, and 10 of them are ex-police, which equates to 40%. Operation casework and contact and assessment, there are 111 total staff. 5 of them are ex-police officers, 7 are ex-police civilians, neither are both, so there's only 11% there. But remember, that's just administration. They've got no power, that section, and that section is very low. So when I say very low, there's not many ex-police officers there, but that's because they haven't got any influence in that role. And so the total staff is 507, and the total of ex-police officers is 28%. When I say ex-police officers, that also includes ex-police civilian. So you have to ask yourself, even though it is being investigated independently, how biased is their judgment going to be? Are they going to favour police officers? Are they going to protect police officers? I work on a panel, and I've noticed that ex-police officers tend to side on the side of the police officers. Well, when I say they kind of justify the police officers' behaviour, and they try to create a situation where their behaviour is acceptable. And that is obvious, because it's like having a family. In the police force, it's like a family. It's you're loyal to your fellow colleagues, and so you're more likely to defend them. It just makes sense. So that's why the IOPC should be totally independent of any police officers at all. But that ain't going to happen. So, and I guess to a certain extent, they're going to have to understand police protocol and police habits and police policies to understand whether or not, when they're investigating, whether or not they had reasons to do what they did. Anyway, that's all for now, folks. Like I said, please subscribe, share, like. You can share on Twitter, you can share on Instagram. You can share, where else can you share? Facebook? Yeah. Anyway, that's all for now. Bye-bye.